What's up, War Report family? It's your boy C-Dub. We're at the halftime. Auburn leads 7-0. Let's get this halftime show started. And as usual, before we get into our thoughts, we have to pay homage, show some love to PrizePicks for supporting our show. Guys, please be sure to head over there. Use code RAPPORT, where they will give you 100% deposit match up to $100 for your first deposit. Shout out to PrizePicks for being a game day show sponsor. I'm joined here by B. Will. Mike G is still having some technical difficulties, it appears. He's obviously relocated, so he doesn't have his same setup. But Guy B. Will here with me. We've watched one half of football. Thought so far before we get into some of the statistics.
So far, I thought we did well moving the ball. We moved the ball really well, but we haven't capitalized every time we've gotten over the 40. And we really, really needed to be able to do that. We need to get closer to get some quality field goal attempts. So we need to capitalize with some touchdowns here. And man, the lack of a competent downfield passing game is hurting us. I feel like we'd be able to put away these drives or at least get closer to the end zone if we had that. But got to be encouraged by how well we're running the ball. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it that effectively for the rest of the night. As we could see on that last drive, they were ready for Robbie to keep. They were ready for Robbie to run it, and he got pinned pretty good back there behind the line of scrimmage on that keep. So we got to do something different. So hopefully we've heard adjustments. We've seen adjustments. Hopefully they got some more so we can keep this ball moving and score some more points.
Yes, absolutely, man. One of the things that I'm pleased with is our defense. We've held them to 130 yards total. There's only been 76 yards passing. We've been able to get some pressure on the QB at times. It seems like he was starting to settle in a little bit, but we still managed to get a stop. Been pleased with that, but I'm with you. We absolutely need to get something going in the passing game. And it doesn't look like Texas A&M respects anything we're doing passing unless it's underneath or some type of screen of some sort. Yep. I'm surprised we haven't seen anything else incorporated in terms of slants or short passes to kind of get Robbie Ashford going.
Yeah, we saw a couple. We saw a couple tries. We really saw them go downfield, which makes sense if you're going to run the ball as effectively as you do. You're going to get those safeties out of position. You're going to get those linebackers looking the wrong way and be able to get something downfield behind them. But we cannot connect down there. It looks like there's miscommunication. Like Robbie's throwing to where he thinks Javarius is going to be sometimes, and he's not there. I don't know what that is, but I really, really, really want to get this win. I really want to get this win.
For sure. Going to get into some comments. Cameron Carr says Jeremiah Wright pushing folks 15 yards down the field. Talk about him, be willing, and what you've seen from him. I mean, he has a motor. They even talked about it as it was commenting on the game. Dude just plays. He plays hard. He has a mean streak. He's what you want in an offensive lineman.
Yeah, he should have been on the field from day one. He has what you need in the offensive lineman to be, particularly when your best players are your running backs. We don't have the passing game to be able to not have the offensive lineman that can move people like that. I don't know why he has not been on the field all year. I'm glad he's on the field now, though, and I'm glad he's getting his props for being a physical O-lineman.
Yeah, for sure. I grab another one here. Austin Holland says the play calling was awful on the last downs. BS interference call overlooked by the refs. Yeah, I thought that was a crazy no call on the part of the refs there for sure. But what I will say is that it doesn't appear because we're limited in the passing game, B, we don't really have a good 2-minute offense.
No.
So if we're in a situation where we need to get down the field fast in like less than 2 minutes or so, or even less than 3 minutes, it's going to look a lot like what we saw because the running game is such a big part of what this coaching staff is trying to do that if we got to score quickly, we're not going to do this. This isn't a quick strike type of offense unless Tank or Jarquez breaks a big run. I don't see us striking quick. We're going to move the ball methodically down the field. And it's frustrating when you're trying to run a 2-minute offense.
Right. And you can't run 2-minute offense without some sort of passing attack. You have to be able to connect on something. And Maybe it won't always be just some fluid timing routes. Maybe you gotta have something in the playbook that the run allows you to set up. The run allows you to set something up because we're gashing them. We're gashing them too well. But once they start playing in a box in the red zone, now those safeties don't have to retreat so far. They don't have to worry about getting thrown over their heads, and they don't really respect our passing game anyway. So it's easier for them to play the run really once we get past the 35. So we're seeing the effects of that. We're gonna have to either run it in from outside the 30, get some big chunk plays in the passing game that our athletes can take it to the end zone, or we're gonna have to find just a couple plays here and there to capitalize on being so close to the goal line in the red zone, because we're getting down there, but we're not doing much with it.
Let's talk about the Auburn running game real quick. Jarquez Hunter is leading rushers in terms of yards with 7 carries, 84 yards. Tank Bigsby has 9 carries for 75 yards. These guys have been eating when they're getting to the outside and have been getting a lot of chunk yards. Jarquez especially. Tank has had the biggest run of 39 yards. Jarquez has one of 23. Do we expect to see more of this? We have to think that A&M is going to stack the box in the second half and dare Auburn to beat them throwing. But what do you expect to see in the second half in terms of the rush offense?
I expect them to have to find those yards in different ways. They were willing to go under center early, and this is something I didn't take into account, but Cadillac played in the old school offense, man. He saw, play action passes, QB under center, and that helps to make the defense get really tight and congested right around the ball. And that opens up those side lanes. If you think that all the action's inside, you got to play inside. If we've got good enough blocking to be able to spring for 6, 7, 8 yard runs inside, then you really have to get inside. And what do? Bounce it out on them. So it's been effective. It's been working. Texas A&M has better talent than their record. That's something that we have to remember watching this game. So when we get beat, when a linebacker gets free to get to Robbie really quickly, I'm not surprised that happens. I'm not surprised when they have guys doing their jobs, because they may be a bad team, but they have a lot of good talent. And the coaches see what's going on and they know. And I think that's the benefit of having coaches who are realistic, who are coaching for right now and not coaching for what they're trying to build in 5 years. They are trying to make the most of this opportunity in this game with this lead. And I absolutely think they're going to do something different to circumvent the pressure that Texas A&M is starting to apply as they play the run even harder and ignore the passing game. They've got to have something ready for it.
What do you expect? Auburn gets the ball coming out at the second half. What do you expect to see first drive of the second half? Do we expect to see anything different with this offense? Or you think they've been holding on to some things, seeing how A&M defends them? What would Will like to see first drive coming out in the second half?
Man, I don't know. I have no idea what I want. I just know I don't want to see. I want to see us execute better in the passing game. That's really what I want to see. It seems to be a little mix up between QB and wide receivers, and the QBs having accuracy issues as well. It's a little bit of everything. I don't think you can make them better in the 2 weeks that Caddy has taken over, but what you can do is call some things to make things easier. So if Ike has something schemed up, or if Coach Friend has something schemed up that'll get us some wide open wide receivers like Javarius was on the touchdown wide reception, I think we're going to see it on these drives. I absolutely do. And I see Lee Bands right here saying that he thinks they've set up some trick plays. Would not be surprised. This is what usually happens when you can't get your regular offense to get you the chunk plays that you need, the chunk yardage. You get some trick plays, and yes, it could work. It could work because they're playing the run too hard for it not to work. That's something that's different between right now and other times we've done trick plays. We weren't gashing people like we're gashing them right now. We got, I think you asked me pre-show, over 225 yards for this team on the ground. We're already close to 200. So we're going to get it. We're getting what we want, and that's going to buy us some room for them to do something different. So if it's not Robbie throwing it down the field, it may be somebody else.
For sure. Let's get to some of the comments. Lawrence Robinson says Robbie isn't seeing the field well. I'm of the belief that he isn't seeing the field well either. Of course, I can't wait to see what Ike has for us when Watch the Film comes out, because I refuse to believe there's no one running open.
Right.
I don't know if he's locking in on a certain receiver, but I do know that he has had time to throw the ball and it still ends up having to scramble. Sometimes you do have good coverage in the back end. Sometimes you can defend the pass well, and then no one is open. But there's been a lot of times where Robbie has had to eat the ball, take off running and scrambling because he's just not seeing who's open. Thoughts on that?
Right. Yeah, I agree with that, but I also think that that's by design too. They don't want him thinking too long. I think it negates his athleticism when he thinks too long back there in the pocket. What we don't want is him just being under pressure, and then making bad decisions, then making bad throws, or waiting too long to get out the pocket, and what could have been an 8-yard scramble turns into a 2-yard scramble. So I think they're probably telling him, and it's what you tell anybody who is like, listen, Caddy said we need to simplify things. Here's your read. If you don't see it, you go. I think Robbie wants to make the big play. I know he does because he played well in high school. When you are used to being successful at what you do, you don't want to come out here and struggle. You don't want to come out here in incompletions and botch fumbles. But he wants to be successful. He just has to stay within what they're giving him, what the coaches are giving him. And I think the coaches will have enough for him in the second half for us to be successful on the ground.
For sure, for sure. RM is saying Pap making tackles. Thoughts about Owen Papo? Owen Papo, did they credit him for that sack? I know the Wigman kind of got away, but he didn't get, he basically was down. But he has been around the ball this game, I must say. So thoughts on Owen Papo?
Yeah, he's made a couple tackles. He's getting his numbers up. He's played better since the coaching staff has turned over. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the coaching change. Caddy said he's specific without being asked if the defense was too complicated for these guys to run. He volunteered the information that he wanted to simplify things. So to me, that says simplification was necessary, that was something that needed to happen. So hopefully what we're going to see is that simplification continues to yield results because they're getting the pressure. And they're getting to there were a couple of wide open wide receivers in that half. Jimbo can do that from time to time. It's how he was able to compete so well in the games against Alabama. His offense gets guys open. So that doesn't surprise me, but we're doing a good job of getting to him. We're tackling soundly. I think Simpson at safety is a revelation, man. Now he was out of position one time that I can remember, but when he gets there, he gets them down. I love Simpson at safety.
For sure. Simpson has always been a physical player anyway, so it makes sense if you had to move someone to safety, Simpson would be the guy. Austin Holland says, did Mba come back on the field? I did see Mba back on the field after he went to the locker room, so that was positive news there. Philip Coleman asks, I kind of wonder if Harsin had Schmedding hands kind of tied because ever since he was fired, Schmedding defense has been good. Just 2 games. Of course, one-dimensional Mississippi State. Our strength has been the pass defense against Texas A&M, whose offense has been really bad and have a lot of keep guys out.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind, Philip. Keep that in mind. But
That's true.
I've been pleased with the play of the defense because they still could be getting gashed considering how they played up to this point. But yes, they're holding A&M scoreless. I'm just hoping, really and truly, my concern has just been the offense and how much more offense we can generate to pull away to make the comeback too difficult for A&M. Thoughts on that?
Agreed. I think the way that we can, I don't want to say assume, we can put pieces together based on what we know and what we've heard and say Harsin wasn't playing enough guys to keep them fresh, number one. And number two, he might not even been playing the best guys. He was playing the guys who had passed his personal, this is what you need to do to play test. But if those aren't the best players, we see what the result is. Now, the best players are getting on the field. And, I mean, thankfully, we got some guys that are fresh because of that. So I think that's what we're seeing. What Jeff Schmedding was probably in a negative position with was he couldn't put other guys on the field who could contribute. Now he can, and we're seeing the results.
A few more comments here. B. Wills for says Vandy clapped Kentucky's cheeks.
That wasn't a cheek clapping, but if y'all check out Ben with B. Will, I put it on the site, tweeted out today. When it came to Kentucky Vandy, I said, do not touch it. I don't trust it. Stay away from it. And sure enough, I wasn't brave enough to pick Vandy to cover. I don't know if anybody was really that brave, but that is, yeah. And y'all wanted Mark Stoops? Not you, B. Will's forehead, but Mark Stoops.
I mean, I think people said that they will be okay with that hire, but he hasn't been one of the big favorites, obviously. But again, more on that in the post game when we talk about how some of the favorite coaches fared. Basically, anyone who's been talked about for the Auburn job outside of Dion didn't have a good day today, but we'll talk about that later. James Barnett says, fellas, do we adjust on the defense to stop their quarterback from getting chunk yards on the ground? In other words, do you see us beginning to key in on him because he is their leading rusher to this point? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, they've done what they need to do. He's young. He's a freshman. He's a little iffy on the passing sometimes. He is a little sporadic. He's a little hot on the throws, but he's pretty much made good decisions so far. I'm impressed with Wickman. I think they've got their quarterback for once. Haynes King wasn't it. Max Johnson was okay. He was a good placeholder, but I think Wickman's probably the best prospect. But fortunately for us, he is green. So do they have to spy? I don't think so. I think they probably want to keep people out, playing the pass more than they want to have to spy somebody. But it's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if they spy somebody or if they probably going to try to dial up some pressure in a different way from a different direction.
You know, I do want to see them get some pressure on him. What I don't want to see is 3 down linemen and he has a plenty of time to survey the field, because on one of those drives where he started to settle down and he started hitting some 3rd and longs, he had time in the pocket. So if anything, I want to see them actually bringing some pressure on him. I'm okay with flushing him out the pocket. I think he's been more dangerous with his arm than his legs, unless he just goes crazy in the second half. So I want to see them actually get after him at times instead of just sitting back in zone and giving him time to actually figure it out. Just my thoughts on that. Appreciate the question, James. B. Will, looks like we're going to be wrong on our score prediction, because this looks like this is going to be a severe low-scoring affair.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable changing your score, sir?
I would change it. I don't think either one of us is going to go past 20 points. Neither team will score more than 20 points, 21 at the absolute most. But let's just let it ride. I don't want to change anything. I just want to win. I just want to win.
I'm changing mine. I'm gonna go 17. I'm gonna go 17-7.
All right.
17-7 Auburn.
Okay.
I think with what they've committed to, given how both these teams are, how their offenses are, they've struggled and they like to run the ball. I don't see us putting up a lot of points in this game, either team. I think Auburn has put itself in a good position coming out of the half, getting the ball back up 7. You have a great opportunity to get up 2 scores. You essentially bury them at that point. So I definitely am looking forward to seeing that. Well, guys, listen, we're about to get back to it right now. Appreciate you guys for checking us out on the halftime show. Guys, become a member of the War Rapport. Get yourself a green name so you can get in here and chat with us for sure. This is the halftime show. We will see you guys at the end of the game. War Eagle.
War Eagle.